Welcome back, everybody. You're here at Behind the Fame, and today's featured video spotlight is on Edward G. Robinson. You won't believe the life he led. Stick around and join us as we celebrate the life and career of Edward G. Robinson. You won't believe. All right, let's check it out. Edward G. Robinson was a Romanian-born American actor who became one of Hollywood's most recognizable stars, appearing in over 100 films and 30 Broadway plays, and becoming especially famous for tough gangster roles in Little Caesar, Key Largo, and other crime dramas during the studio era. Over a 50-year career, he also won Best Actor at Cannes for House of Strangers, earned an honorary Academy Award in 1973, and was later ranked among the top 25 male stars of classic American cinema by the American Film Institute. Early life and education. Born Emanuel Goldenberg in Bucharest in 1893 to a Yiddish-speaking Jewish family, Robinson emigrated with his family to New York in 1904 after anti-Semitic violence, growing up on the Lower East Side and taking the name Edward while studying at Townsend Harris High School and City College. Initially planning to become a lawyer, he won a scholarship to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, adopted the professional name Edward G. Robinson, the G for Goldenberg, and briefly served stateside in the U.S. Navy during World War I. Stage and film breakthrough. Robinson began his professional stage career in 1913, made his Broadway debut in 1915, and spent the 1910s and 1920s playing a wide range of ethnic roles in New York theater. After early silent film appearances, his snarling gangster turn in the 1927 Broadway play The Racket led to similar screen roles and, ultimately, to his star-making performance as Rico in Little Caesar in 1931, which launched a prolific run at Warner Brothers in both crime films and more varied parts, including biographical dramas like Dr. Ehrlich's Magic Bullet and A Dispatch from Reuters. World War II activism and graylisting. A fierce public critic of fascism and Nazism, Robinson donated over $250,000 of war relief and civil rights organizations, did multilingual radio propaganda broadcasts for the U.S. government, and became the first movie star to visit Normandy with the USO after D-Day. His involvement with some groups later deemed communist fronts led to HUAC testimony in 1950 and 1952. Though cleared of intentional communist activity, he was effectively graylisted, forcing him into lower budget films on Poverty Row and damaging both his finances and career momentum. Later film and radio work. Despite the setback, Robinson re-established himself with standout performances in Double Indemnity, The Woman in the Window, Scarlet Street, All My Sons, and Key Largo, then pivoted in the 1950s-60s to a mix of modest features and high-profile supporting roles. He worked steadily in films such as The Ten Commandments, A Hole in the Head, The Cincinnati Kid, and finally, Soylent Green, while also starring on radio in Big Town and notable broadcasts like a Lux Radio Theater adaptation of The Maltese Falcon. Robinson married stage actress Gladys Lloyd in 1927, with whom he had a son, and after their 1956 divorce, he wed designer Jane Arden. in 1958, settling in Palm Springs. Away from his screen gangster image, he was known as cultivated and soft-spoken, building a major modern art collection that he largely had to sell during his divorce and lean early 1950s years. Death and legacy. He died of bladder cancer in Los Angeles on January 26, 1973. Shortly after completing Soylent Green and just before receiving his honorary Oscar, which his widow accepted on his behalf. Robinson is buried in the family mausoleum at Beth El Cemetery in Queens. Has been honored with a U.S. postage stamp and numerous pop culture caricatures, and is widely remembered as both a definitive screen gangster and a politically engaged Renaissance man of classic Hollywood. That was the life and career of legendary actor Edward G. Robinson. Give me your thoughts on Edward G. Robinson. Truthfully, I first heard of Edward G. Robinson through a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Ooh, you dirty rat. That could have been James Cagney. But, ooh, you dirty. It was one of those two. I can't do impersonations, but I just remember there was a gangster episode on old Bugs Bunny. And he was a gangster, and he had the lips. And he was talking like Edward G. Robinson does in several of his movies. And then when I got older, I looked up Edward G. Robinson, and I found out, oh, that's who he is. And then I've been a big fan of him because he was a gangster, and he was making movies alongside of James Cagney, Humphrey Bogart, always playing a heavy gangster. And he was like the quintessential gangster actor. You wanted a gangster, a very good gangster, you would call on Edward G. Robinson. And he was always the bad guy. Later in the years, he was a soft, lovable teddy bear type figure in his movies. Not so much the gangster image. But back then, I mean, he really sold Hollywood well. Because he was very convincing as a bad gangster, and you wanted him to lose. You hated it when he was killing people, getting away with robbery, heists, and so on and so forth. But Edward G. Robinson had a very prolific career in Hollywood. Give me your thoughts on any of your favorite Edward G. Robinson movies. What do you think of him as, obviously what he's best known for as, a gangster? Thank you for joining me here at Behind the Fame, and that was the life and career of legendary actor Edward G. Robinson. Thank you for joining me. Any questions, comments, or feedback, leave them below. Thank you, and I'll see you all in the next video.